so we like practice every day. We just finished a couple of games, and then school, we're almost towards the end of the quarter. So I'm definitely feeling the schedule heaviness and the pressure. But for me, I'm a huge journaler. I like to write a lot. And so when I have time, basically my journal are like my prayers to God, and just having that one-on-one time. It's really important for me to just reset and just to kind of give my tiredness to Him. Just like um, ask for energy, for focus, and all that kind of stuff every single day. And also, I just try to find little pockets throughout my day to spend time with Him. So one special time that I have with Him every single day is, so I live like maybe 3 minutes from campus. And so I have a scooter here, and so when I just scooter to practice and stuff, I just kind of have a conversation, or I listen to gospel on the way there, just to kind of reset and realign my focus for the day. For me, I always like am trying to impress others, and I really care what other people think of me. And so when like I would really define like my worth or value on how I played on the court, and something here at UCLA that they really teach is like we have to write this phrase in our notebooks every single day after practice, and it's my value comes from who I am and not what I do. And everything that happens to me is an opportunity to learn and grow, and that's something that has been really helpful for me, just knowing like I am a child of God, I'm a daughter of God, and there's nothing else that I need to prove to anyone else. But that's just like a reminder that I really have to keep reminding myself of. But just like knowing that I don't play basketball or do anything else for anyone else except for myself, and also for God. So just always having that perspective has been really helpful for me, especially the past couple of years. Going to college is like such a daunting thing. So being able to find that community was just really important for me. And especially like people who were going through kind of the same thing as me with sports, basketball. So coming to UCLA, there's also something like a group sort of kind of like Athletes in Action, and finding that community was also great at a new school. I'll start with my mom's story because that's how I ultimately came to know Christ. My mom was born and raised in Beijing, China, and back then she didn't know a lot of people she didn't know Christ, and a lot of people around her didn't know Christ at all. But it wasn't until she got around the college age where she actually met a missionary who came to visit China in her college, and her name's Elaine, and they're best friends now. Elaine comes to my games all the time, but back then my mom just noticed how Elaine would just walk in a manner that was just completely different from other people that she knew, and she was just really intrigued with her story. And Elaine ultimately shared the gospel in Christ to my mom, and ever since then my mom has been a really strong believer. And so that's how my family was introduced to Christ. And then so growing up for me, I always went to church. Like we were a church family every Sunday, and we really did find community there. But for me, like my relationship back then wasn't really my personal relationship. It was just something that the family did. We just went to church every day. But it wasn't until I got to Baylor in the process of transferring from Baylor to UCLA where I really began to lean on God and really grow in my relationship with Him. In the process of that, it was just really stressful. I wasn't really sure of myself if I wanted to go through with that, because I personally am like no conflict peacemaker. I can't handle any confrontation, and so I did just kind of just want to like go and like my lazy self would have just like let myself kind of not suffer, but deal with what was happening at Baylor. But I knew like if I wanted to grow, and if I wanted to have my like better mental health and that kind of stuff, I needed to step up for myself. Um, and so just growing through that and like kind of standing up for myself in that kind of way was actually really hard and different for me. And my one of my best friends at Baylor, her name's Val. She is a huge believer, and she really helped me through that time. She introduced me. I don't know how I didn't know about this verse before, but she and I just like laid, sat in my room and started praying over the verse about seasons of life. And she just talked to me about how there's just like a season for everything. And before this, I didn't know about this verse, and then she introduced it to me, so it was really impactful. Um, so um, yeah, she like her and I prayed a lot throughout the whole process. So Val was a huge rock for me, and so just being able to step out into kind of the unknown, like I didn't know where I would end up if I were to transfer, was kind of scary, but being able to lean on God and trust in Him, knowing that no matter what happens, He has me in the palm of His hand, you know. Um, so yeah, and then I ended up at UCLA, and it's been amazing, and can really see God's hand over that whole transition and process. So for me, the I feel like my season of life verse, um, and something like I kind of like say over and over again before games and stuff is Isaiah 40:31. Those who hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And I love that before games because I'm like, even no matter how tired I am, like God will not let me fall. He'll give me energy some way. And just the idea of like soaring and on I just love. So yeah. Yeah, that's like a huge thing that I like think about all the time, especially now since season's almost over, and school's almost up. So I think so. I would say I had a lot of growth this past year, and before this year, I think I would be very stressed and very anxious and just like all over the place and about like thinking about my future. But I feel like this year, I'm not I'm not as worried. I'm kind of just trying to stay in the moment because it is my last year and every single game is it's a gift, you know, like you don't know what the next time you're gonna play is. So I'm really trying to focus on that. But my goals and my dream is to play professionally, professional basketball, whether that be here or overseas. Just continuing to stay in the game. But I something that my mom and I really talk about. It's just like my life and my future is in God's hand, and honestly, like that's the most relieving thing that anyone could have. You know, like God knows where I'll end up, and so I'm really trying not to like overthink or stress about it, because I know that I'll be all right in the end. But I would love to continue to play basketball after college. I love the NCAA tournament. It just really brings out the competitors and the spirit of basketball. So I love this time of year, and it's where everyone is playing their best basketball. So it's really fun.